The desperate exodus. The crystalline spires of Zendar Prime glittered under the swollen red sun, their once proud sparkle now a dim reminder of fading glory. Kira, her translucent exoskeleton refracting the ominous light, gazed up at the bloated star that had nurtured her species for millennia. Now, that same celestial body threatened to destroy everything the Zendari had built. Kira, the council awaits, chirped Vox, his antennae twitching with nervous energy. Like all Zendari, his body was a marvel of evolutionary engineering, a perfect fusion of insectoid efficiency and crystalline beauty. But today, that beauty seemed fragile, ready to shatter under the weight of impending doom. With a resigned click of her mandibles, Kira followed Vox into the grand chamber. The circular room, usually a cacophony of telepathic chatter, was unnaturally quiet. Hundreds of Zendari stood in concentric rings, their compound eyes fixed on the central dais where the matriarch waited. "My children," the matriarch's voice resonated in their minds, a soothing balm to their collective anxiety. "Our son's instability has accelerated beyond our worst projections. We have mere cycles before Zendar Prime becomes uninhabitable." A wave of fear rippled through the assembly, manifesting as a shimmering distortion in the air, a visible representation of their shared empathic abilities. "What of the Galactic Confederation?" someone asked, their mental voice tinged with desperate hope. "Surely they cannot ignore our plight now." Kira stepped forward, her role as chief diplomat weighing heavily on her delicate frame. "I bring news from the Confederation capital," she announced, her telepathic voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "Our petition for emergency relocation has been denied." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of mental outcries. Kira winced, the raw emotions of her people battering against her psyche. "Silence," the matriarch commanded, and the noise subsided. "Kira, explain." Taking a deep breath, Kira projected her recent memory for all to see. The opulent halls of the Confederation materialized around them, a stark contrast to the austere beauty of Zendar Prime. In the vision, Kira stood before the Galactic Council, a diverse array of alien species, each more physically imposing than the last. A hulking Draxoid, his armored hide gleaming under the chamber lights, leaned forward. "Let me get this straight," he rumbled, amusement evident in his gravelly voice. "You want us to evacuate an entire species of, what did you call yourselves? Empaths. Our abilities have much to offer the Confederation," Kira's memory self-argued. "Our mastery of emotional energies could revolutionize diplomacy, mental health treatment, even conflict resolution." A serpentine, sick counselor hissed derisively. "And what of your physical capabilities? Can you build our starships, fight our wars, colonize harsh worlds?" "We have other strengths," Kira insisted. "Our crystalline biology allows us to survive in environments that would—" "Enough," interrupted the Voxa representative, her tentacles waving dismissively. "The Confederation is not a charity. We cannot allocate resources to relocate a species that offers no tangible benefits to our collective." The memory faded, leaving the Zendari assembly in stunned silence. "They rejected us," Vox whispered, his antennae drooping. "Left us to die." The matriarch's composure cracked, her despair washing over the gathering. "We are alone," she said softly. But Kira's mind was racing. During her time in the Confederation capital, she had heard whispers, rumors of a world on the fringes of known space, a planet whose inhabitants had been observed from afar, but never officially contacted. "Maybe not," she said, her voice growing stronger. "There might be another way." All eyes turned to her as she projected a new image, a blue and green marble suspended in the void of space. "Earth?" the matriarch asked, surprise evident in her mental tone. "The quarantined world." Kira nodded. "The Confederation avoids it due to the inhabitants' volatile nature and primitive technology. But the humans are known for their adaptability, their capacity for rapid advancement. And most importantly," she paused for effect, "their empathy." A murmur ran through the crowd. Empathy, the cornerstone of Zendari society, was rare among spacefaring races. To find it in abundance on a developing world was unprecedented. You suggest we seek refuge with an uncontacted species? Vax asked, his tone a mixture of disbelief and budding hope. The Confederation forbids such interaction. The Confederation has left us to perish, Kira countered. We have nothing left to lose. The matriarch was silent for a long moment, her crystalline form shimmering as she considered the proposal. Finally, she spoke. How would we even reach this Earth? Our long-range ships were requisitioned by the Confederation decades ago. A young engineer named Zix stepped forward, his exoskeleton vibrating with nervous excitement. The quantum fold drive, he said, projecting an image of a sleek experimental craft. It's untested for living cargo, but in theory, it could traverse the distance in a single jump. In theory, Vax chittered anxiously. We'd be risking everything on an untested drive. We risk everything by staying. Kira responded firmly. She turned to the matriarch, her compound eyes reflecting the fading light of their dying sun. Mother of our people, I beg you, let me lead this mission. Let us take this chance, no matter how slim. The matriarch's antennae quivered as she regarded Kira. Then, with a grace that belied her ancient years, she stepped down from the dais and placed a delicate limb on Kira's shoulder. My brave daughter, she said, her mental voice filled with pride and sorrow. You carry the hopes of our entire species. Go find these humans, seek their aid, and may the cosmic winds guide your journey. The next few days passed in a blur of frenetic activity. The quantum fold drive was integrated into their last remaining ship, a vessel barely large enough to hold 1,000 Zendari. Kira watched as her people said tearful goodbyes. Families split as they decided who would go and who would stay behind, clinging to the faint hope that a second trip might be possible. As Kira boarded the ship, christened Nova Hope, she felt the weight of her people's destiny settling upon her slender shoulders. Vax and Zix flanked her, along with a carefully selected crew of scientists, engineers, and diplomats, the best and brightest Zendar Prime had to offer. The ship hummed to life, its crystalline corridors pulsing with energy. Through the viewport, Kira watched as her homeworld grew smaller, the bloated red sun dominating the view. Course laid in, Zix reported, his limbs dancing over the controls. Quantum fold drive charging. Kira took one last look at Zendar Prime, committing every glittering spire to memory. Initiate jump, she commanded. The universe seemed to twist around them, reality folding in on itself. There was a moment of absolute stillness, then a violent lurch as space-time snapped back into place. And there, filling their viewport, was a blue-green jewel suspended in the velvet black of space. Earth. We made it, Vox breathed, his voice filled with awe and relief. But their moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems began to fail, overtaxed by the experimental jump. We're losing power, Zix cried out. Gravitational systems failing. Kira felt the ship begin to shudder as Earth's gravity took hold. They were falling, drawn inexorably towards the planet's surface. All hands, brace for impact, she shouted, both verbally and telepathically. As the Nova Hope plummeted through Earth's atmosphere, trailing fire and debris, Kira closed her eyes and sent out a desperate telepathic plea to the world below. People of Earth, we come seeking sanctuary. Please, help us. The ship streaked across the sky like a falling star, carrying with it the last desperate hope of the Zendari people. Crash landing in Central Park. Officer Sarah Chen's day had started like any other. A lukewarm coffee from the corner bodega, a quick briefing at the precinct, and then out on patrol in Central Park. It was a crisp autumn morning in New York City, the kind that made Sarah glad she'd chosen the park beat over a desk job. As she strolled along the winding paths, nodding to joggers and dog walkers, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The air seemed charged like the calm before a storm. She glanced up at the clear blue sky, searching for non-existent storm clouds. That's when she saw it. At first, Sarah thought it was a plane, banking too low over the city. But as she watched, the object grew larger at an alarming rate, its shape all wrong for any aircraft she ever seen. It was crystalline, almost organic in its design, trailing fire and smoke as it plummeted towards the earth. Holy sh! Sarah's expletive was cut short as the object crashed into the great lawn with an earth-shattering boom. The impact sent a shockwave rippling through the park, knocking Sarah off her feet and showering her with debris and uprooted grass. For a moment, all was still. Then, chaos erupted. Screams filled the air as panicked parkours fled in all directions. Sarah scrambled to her feet, her training kicking in as she keyed her radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Chen. We have an aircraft down in Central Park, Great Lawn area. Multiple civilians in the vicinity. Need immediate backup and emergency services." The radio crackled with confused responses, but Sarah was already sprinting towards the crash site. As she approached, she could see that what had landed was no aircraft. The object was roughly ovoid, its surface a maze of interlocking crystalline plates that shimmered with an inner light. Steam hissed from cracks in its hull, and a strange melodic humming filled the air. Sarah drew her weapon. Approaching cautiously. "NYPD," she shouted. "If anyone can hear me, come out slowly with your hands up." A seam appeared in the craft's side, widening into an aperture. Sarah tensed, expecting. Well, she wasn't sure what to expect. What emerged, however, was beyond anything she could have imagined. The creature was insectoid in shape, but its body appeared to be made of living crystal. It stood on 4 delicate limbs, with 2 more limb-like appendages that might have been arms. Its head was dominated by large, multifaceted eyes that reflected the morning sunlight in a dazzling display. But what struck Sarah most was the overwhelming sense of fear and desperation emanating from the being. She couldn't explain how, but she could feel its emotions as clearly as if they were her own. Slowly, carefully, Sarah holstered her weapon. "It's okay," she said softly, holding up her empty hands. "I'm not going to hurt you. Are you? Are you all right?" The alien, for what else could it be, took a hesitant step forward. Its mandibles clicked, and suddenly Sarah heard a voice in her mind. "Help, please." The telepathic plea was so filled with anguish that Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes. Without thinking, she rushed forward to support the alien as it stumbled. "I've got you," she said, marveling at how light the creature was, despite being nearly as tall as she was. "What happened? Are there others?" Before the alien could respond, more of its kind began to emerge from the ship. Some were injured, their crystalline bodies cracked or chipped. Others seemed to be in better shape, but all radiated the same mix of fear, hope, and desperation. Sarah's radio crackled to life. "Chen, what's your status? We're getting reports of Jesus. Is that a UFO?" Sarah looked up to see news helicopters circling overhead. In the distance, she could hear sirens approaching. This was about to become a media circus and a potential diplomatic nightmare. "Listen," she said to the alien she was supporting, hoping it could understand her. "More humans are coming. Some might be scared or want to hurt you. I'll do my best to protect you, but you need to tell your people to stay calm and not make any threatening moves. Can you do that?" The alien's antennae twitched, and Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "Yes, thank you. I am Kira. We are the Zendari. We come seeking refuge." As if on cue, a phalanx of police cars and SWAT vans screeched to a halt at the edge of the great lawn. Officers poured out, weapons drawn, shouting orders that quickly died on their lips as they took in the scene. "Stand down," Sarah shouted, her voice carrying surprising authority. "They're not hostile. They need our help." For a tense moment, Sarah thought her fellow officers might open fire anyway. But then, slowly, weapons were lowered. A few of the braver officers approached, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. "Chen," her sergeant said, his voice shaky. "What the hell is going on?" Sarah took a deep breath. "Sarge, I'd like you to meet Kira. She and her people, the Zendari, have come to Earth seeking refuge. And I think we might be their last hope." As if to underscore her words, the crystalline ship behind them groaned ominously. Cracks spread across its surface, and with a sound like shattering glass, it collapsed in on itself. Kira's mental voice was tinged with sorrow. "Our journey is truly one way now. We have nowhere else to go." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The park was evacuated and cordoned off, with a hastily erected perimeter keeping the growing crowd of onlookers and media at bay. Emergency services arrived to tend to the injured Zendari, though the paramedics were at a loss as to how to treat beings made of living crystal. Sarah found herself acting as an impromptu translator, relaying the Zendari story to increasingly high-ranking officials. By midday, the mayor of New York City himself was on site, looking both excited and terrified as he attempted to welcome Earth's first official alien visitors. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Sarah found a quiet moment with Kira. The Zendari leader looked exhausted, her crystalline form dimmer than it had been that morning. "How are you holding up?" Sarah asked, genuine concern in her voice. Kira's antennae drooped slightly. "It has been overwhelming. Your world is so vibrant, so full of life and emotion. It's beautiful, but also terrifying. We have risked everything coming here." Sarah nodded, understanding all too well the magnitude of the Zendari's gamble. "For what it's worth," she said, "I think you made the right choice. Humanity isn't perfect. We've got our fair share of problems. But there's good here too. We can be kind, compassionate. We help each other out." "Like you helped us," Kira observed, a hint of warmth in her mental voice. "Yeah," Sarah smiled. "Like that. It's who we are at our best." Their moment of quiet understanding was interrupted by the arrival of a sleek black SUV. Men in dark suits emerged, their demeanor screaming government agents. "Officer Chen." One of them approached. "I'm Agent Reeves, Department of Homeland Security. We'll be taking over from here. You've done an admirable job, but this is now a matter of national security." Sarah felt a surge of protectiveness. "With all due respect, Agent Reeves, the Zendari came here seeking refuge. They're not a threat." Reeves' expression was unreadable. "That remains to be seen. We'll need to debrief you, and them." He glanced at Kira, a mix of fascination and wariness in his eyes. As more agents began to usher the Zendari towards waiting vehicles, Sarah locked eyes with Kira. "Don't worry," she projected, hoping her thoughts would reach the alien. "I won't let them hurt you. I'll make sure your story is heard." Kira's response was faint but clear. "Thank you, Sarah of Earth. You have given us hope." As the sun dipped below the New York skyline, Sarah watched the Zendari being led away. She knew that this was only the beginning. The arrival of the Zendari would change everything. For humanity, for Earth, and for the galaxy at large. And somehow, Sarah knew she would be right in the middle of it all. Humanity divided, humanity united. The world awoke to a new reality. Overnight, hashtags like #ZendaraTruth and #AlienSinNYC trended globally. News channels ran 24/7 coverage, alternating between shaky footage of the Central Park landing and panels of experts speculating wildly about the implications of first contact. In the halls of power, leaders scrambled to formulate responses. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session, while heads of state huddled with advisors, trying to navigate uncharted diplomatic waters. Sarah Chen found herself thrust into the center of it all. As the first human to communicate with the Zendari, she had become an unexpected bridge between two worlds. But as she sat in a sterile government facility, watching Kira being interrogated through one-way glass, she wondered if she had done the right thing. You have to understand, Agent Reeves was saying, his voice tinged with frustration. We can't just take their word for it. For all we know, this could be the vanguard of an invasion force. Sarah shook her head. You weren't there. You didn't feel what I felt. They're terrified, desperate. They need our help. Before Reeves could respond, the door burst open. A woman in a crisp military uniform strode in, her presence immediately commanding attention. General Amanda Vance, United States Space Force. She introduced herself briskly. Officer Chen, I need you to come with me. Now. Bewildered, Sarah followed the general out of the room and into a waiting helicopter. As they lifted off, Vance handed her a tablet. Read this. It's eyes only. Understood. Sarah's eyes widened as she scrolled through the document. It was a decoded transmission, intercepted by deep space listening posts. The message from something called the Galactic Confederation was a warning to Earth. Harbor the Zendari fugitives and face dire consequences. They're coming, Vance said grimly, and we're not ready. Meanwhile, across the globe, humanity's reaction to the Zendari's arrival was fracturing along predictable lines. In Silicon Valley, tech moguls salivated over the potential of Zendari crystal technology. In the Vatican, the Pope called for compassion towards our cosmic brethren, while other religious leaders decried the aliens as demonic entities. On university campuses, students rallied in support of Zendari rights. In rural communities, militia groups stockpiled weapons, preparing for what they saw as an inevitable conflict. But it was on social media where the battle for public opinion truly raged. Misinformation spread like wildfire, with conspiracy theories ranging from government cover-ups to claims that the Zendari were shape-shifting reptilians. Amidst the chaos, a group of hackers known as the Swarm breached the government's security protocols, leaking footage of Zendari interrogations. The videos went viral, showing the aliens' distress under harsh questioning. Public opinion began to shift. The sight of these fragile, crystalline beings enduring human cruelty struck a chord. Protests erupted outside government facilities, demanding fair treatment for the Zendari. In New Delhi, Dr. Amira Patel, a renowned xenobiologist, held a press conference that would change the course of events. The Zendari physiology is unlike anything we've ever seen, she explained, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. Their crystalline structure allows them to survive in environments that would be lethal to us, and their empathic abilities, the potential applications in medicine, in conflict resolution, are staggering. As Dr. Patel's words spread, a new narrative began to take hold. The Zendari weren't just refugees, they were a gift, offering humanity a chance to leap forward in ways previously unimaginable. But not everyone saw it that way. In a shadowy boardroom, a group of men and women sat around a polished table, their faces illuminated by the glow of holographic displays. Gentlemen, ladies, a silver-haired man began, his voice gravelly with age and authority. We're sitting on a gold mine. Zendari tech could revolutionize everything from computing to weapon systems. We need to secure it by any means necessary. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Plans were set in motion, bribes offered, threats made. The goal, to ensure that Zendari knowledge ended up in the right hands. But they hadn't counted on Sarah Chen. Working with a coalition of sympathetic officials, scientists, and hackers, Sarah had been quietly building a network of Zendari supporters. When she uncovered the plot to exploit the aliens, she knew she had to act. In a bold move, Sarah arranged for Kira to address the United Nations General Assembly. It was a risky plan, but one that could change everything. As Kira took the podium, her crystalline form shimmering under the lights, a hush fell over the assembly. People of Earth, her telepathic voice resonated through the minds of all present. We came to you in our darkest hour, seeking sanctuary. Some of you have shown us kindness beyond measure. Others have met us with fear and mistrust. We understand both reactions. Kira's antennae quivered with emotion. We are not conquerors. We are not here to replace you or to steal your resources. We are refugees, yes, but we are also scholars, artists, scientists. We offer our knowledge freely, asking only for a place to call home. As Kira spoke, something extraordinary happened. The Zendari's empathic abilities, amplified by the UN's broadcasting equipment, reached out across the globe. For a brief moment, every human on Earth felt a spark of connection, a glimpse of understanding that transcended language and culture. In that instant, humanity's course was set. The UN vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would grant the Zendari asylum and full rights as a protected species. In return, the Zendari would share their knowledge, helping humanity prepare for its emergence onto the galactic stage. But even as celebrations erupted worldwide, Sarah Chen knew their troubles were far from over. The encrypted message from the Galactic Confederation still loomed over them, a sword of Damocles threatening their newfound alliance. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah stood with Kira, General Vance, and a team of Earth's brightest minds. Before them, a holographic display showed the vastness of the Milky Way, with Earth a tiny, vulnerable speck on its edges. "They're coming," Vance said, her voice grim. "The Confederation won't let this stand. We need to be ready." Kira's crystalline form seemed to glow with determination. "We will face this threat together. Our weaknesses are your strengths, and your adaptability is unmatched in the galaxy. United, we have a chance." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "Then let's get to work. We've got a planet to defend and a galaxy to change." As the team began to plan, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the twist of fate that had brought them all together. Humanity, so often divided, had found unity in the face of cosmic challenges, and the Zendari, rejected by the galaxy, had found not just sanctuary, but partners. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with dangers they could scarcely imagine. But for the first time since the Zendari crash-landed in Central Park, Sarah felt a glimmer of real hope. Together, they just might rewrite the rules of the galaxy. The Galactic Spotlight. The Milky Way was abuzz with news of the upstart planet Earth. In seedy spaceports and glittering capital worlds alike, beings of all species traded rumors and speculations about the primitive world that had dared to defy the Galactic Confederation. On Xarlac Prime, a planet of perpetual twilight and twisting spires, Frelixa the Void Whisperer leaned forward in her anti-gravity chair, her tendrils twitching with excitement as she addressed her fellow council members. "This cannot stand," she hissed, her voice a sibilant whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "If we allow these Earthlings to harbor the Zendari, others will follow. The outcasts will think they have found a champion." Groknak the Unyielding, a being of living stone and burning plasma, rumbled his agreement. "We should crush this Earth immediately, show the galaxy the price of defiance." But not all were convinced. Alara, the luminary of 1,000 stars, raised a graceful hand. "Perhaps we are being hasty. These humans have shown remarkable adaptability. They might yet prove useful to the Confederation." As the council debated, little did they know that their supposedly secure chambers had been compromised. Light years away in the fortified bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah Chen and her team listened intently to the translated broadcast. "They're divided," Sarah noted, a glimmer of hope in her voice. "We might be able to use that to our advantage." Kira's crystalline form shimmered with concern. "But they speak of us as if we are property to be claimed or destroyed. This Confederation is not what we once believed it to be." General Vance nodded grimly. "Welcome to galactic politics, it seems. Not so different from Earth, after all." As they strategized, reports began flooding in from around the world. The knowledge shared by the Zendari was bearing fruit at an astonishing rate. In Japan, a team of engineers had successfully replicated Zendari crystal technology, creating prototype quantum computers that made their silicon predecessors look like abacuses. In Brazil, a collaboration between Zendari empaths and human psychologists had led to breakthroughs in treating PTSD and other mental health disorders. And in orbit, the fledgling United Earth Space Force was taking shape. Ships that melded human ingenuity with Zendari crystal tech were rolling off the production lines, each one a testament to what their alliance could achieve. But Earth's rapid advancement didn't go unnoticed. On Cygnus X1, a shadowy figure known only as the Broker received a transmission from one of his Earth-based agents. "The humans are progressing faster than anticipated," the agent reported. "Their alliance with the Zendari is proving formidable." The Broker's multifaceted eyes gleamed with interest. "Excellent. Ensure our operatives are in place. When the Confederation makes its move, we'll be ready to capitalize on the situation." Back on Earth, Sarah found herself addressing the joint session of the United Nations. The chamber was packed, with delegates from every nation hanging on her every word. "We stand at a crossroads," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "For millennia, humanity has looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know the answer, and it's more complex than we ever imagined." She gestured to Kira, who stood beside her, a living embodiment of the bridge between their species. "The Zendari came to us seeking refuge, but they've given us so much more. Knowledge, perspective, and a warning of what awaits us in the wider galaxy. We've made enemies, yes, but we've also proven what humanity does best: adapt, innovate, and unite in the face of adversity." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. "But our work is far from over," Sarah continued. "The Galactic Confederation views us as upstarts, primitives who don't know our place. They're half right. We are upstarts, but we're fast learners. And together with the Zendari, we're going to show the galaxy that compassion isn't weakness, that diversity isn't just to be tolerated, but celebrated." As Sarah spoke, her words were broadcast across the planet and beyond. In hidden corners of the galaxy, outcasts and misfits listened with growing hope. Earth was becoming a beacon, a symbol of defiance against the Confederation's rigid order. Among those listening was Zix, the young Zendari engineer who had helped pilot their ship to Earth. He had been working tirelessly with human scientists, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with their combined knowledge. "Sarah," he called out as she stepped down from the podium, "we've had a breakthrough." In a secure lab, Zix and his human counterpart, Dr. Imani Okoro, unveiled their creation. It was a sphere of pulsing energy, contained within a lattice of Zendari crystal. "We call it the harmonic resonator," Dr. Okoro explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "It amplifies and focuses the Zendari's empathic abilities. With this, we might be able to broadcast emotions across vast distances." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. "You mean we could potentially influence the Confederation without firing a shot?" Kira's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "It's more than that. With this technology, we could share understanding, foster empathy on a galactic scale. It could change everything." But as Earth prepared for its debut on the galactic stage, other forces were moving in the shadows. On a distant moon, a secret meeting took place between representatives of various outcast species, beings rejected by the Confederation for being too weak, too strange, or simply too different. A morphling, capable of altering its form at will, addressed the gathering. "Earth has shown us that there's another way. They've embraced the Zendari, turned supposed weakness into strength. We should ally with them, offer our own unique abilities to their cause." The proposal was met with a mix of hope and skepticism. Allying with Earth could offer protection, but it could also paint a target on their backs. As the outcasts debated, a sleek ship slipped past Earth's early warning systems. On board, a team of Confederation Black Ops agents prepared for their mission: sabotage Earth's defenses and extract key Zendari for questioning. Their ship, cloaked with the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy, touched down undetected in the forests outside New York. As they emerged, weapons at the ready, the team's leader smiled coldly. Let's show these primitives what real advanced civilization looks like, he sneered. But Earth wasn't as defenseless as they believed. In a hidden bunker, an AI system born from the merger of human and Zendari tech detected the intrusion. Alarms blared in command centers around the globe. Sarah's communicator buzzed urgently. "Chen here," she answered, her heart racing. General Vance's voice crackled through. "We've got company. Confederation strike team. Just landed outside New York. This is it, Sarah. The moment we've been preparing for." As Sarah rushed to the command center, she felt a mix of fear and determination. Earth was about to face its first real test against the forces of the Confederation. Everything they had worked for, the alliance they had forged with the Zendari, it all came down to this. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was ready to show that it wouldn't go down without a fight. "Alert the Zendari," Sarah ordered as she strode into the bustling command center. "It's time to show the Confederation what humans and Zendari can do together." As defenses sprang to life and Earth's fledgling combined forces mobilized, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. David versus Goliath. The skies above Earth crackled with energy as the Confederation Armada dropped out of hyperspace. Hundreds of ships, each a marvel of advanced technology, filled near-Earth orbit. Their sleek designs and pulsing energy weapons were a stark contrast to the hastily assembled Earth Zendari defense fleet. On the bridge of the Terran flagship Unity, Sarah Chen stood alongside General Vance, Kira, and a mixed crew of humans and Zendari. The view screen showed the overwhelming force arrayed against them. "Well," Vance said dryly, "they certainly know how to make an entrance." Sarah nodded grimly. "Let's hope our plan works. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short battle." As if on cue, a communication request pinged on their console. The face that appeared on the screen was alien yet somehow familiar in its arrogance. High Admiral Zextor of the Confederation Fleet sneered at the assembled Earth Zendari crew. "Primitives," he began, his translator conveying the disdain in his multi-tone voice. "Your defiance ends now. Surrender the Zendari fugitives and submit to Confederation rule, or be obliterated." Sarah stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly. "This is Sarah Chen, representing the United Earth Zendari Alliance. We reject your demands, Admiral. The Zendari are under our protection, and Earth is a sovereign world. We have no quarrel with the Confederation, but we will defend ourselves if attacked." Zextor's expression flickered between amusement and annoyance. "You have no concept of the forces you're dealing with, human. Your pitiful fleet is no match for even a fraction of our armada. This is your final warning." As the transmission cut off, Sarah turned to her crew. "This is it, people. Remember the plan. We may not have the firepower to match them, but we have something they don't expect." Kira's crystalline form shimmered with determination. "The harmonic resonator is charged and ready. But Sarah, are you certain about this? The strain on you and the other human empaths could be severe." Sarah managed a small smile. "It's a risk we have to take. For Earth, for the Zendari, and for every outcast species counting on us." As the Confederation fleet began to move into attack formation, the Earth Zendari ships took up defensive positions. But instead of powering up conventional weapons, they activated a network of crystalline arrays on their hulls. In the heart of the Unity, Sarah and a group of human volunteers who had shown latent empathic abilities joined hands with Kira and other Zendari. They stood around the pulsing sphere of the harmonic resonator, its energy casting an ethereal glow over their determined faces. "Now," General Vance commanded. Sarah closed her eyes and focused, feeling the resonator amplify her thoughts and emotions. Beside her, she could sense the others doing the same. Together, they projected a wave of empathy, understanding, and unity towards the Confederation fleet. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The enemy ships continued their approach, weapons charging. But then, reports started coming in from across the Allied fleet. "Confederation ships are slowing down. We're getting odd readings from their energy signatures. Some of the smaller vessels are breaking formation. On the Confederation flagship, Admiral Zextor clutched his head, overwhelmed by unfamiliar sensations. For the first time in his long military career, he felt doubt. More than that, he felt empathy. The emotions of his crew, of the humans and Zendari they faced, even echoes from distant outcast species, all flooded his mind. What is this trickery? He growled, trying to shake off the effect. All ships commence fire. But across the Confederation fleet, confusion reigned. Gunners hesitated, suddenly unsure of their orders. Ship captains questioned the logic of attacking a species that had shown only a desire for peace and understanding. In the chaos, a subset of the Confederation fleet, ships crewed primarily by younger, more idealistic officers, broke away entirely. They turned their weapons not on Earth, but on their fellow Confederation vessels. "This is Captain Lyra of the CSS Starburst." A new voice broke into the command channel. "We stand with Earth and the Zendari. This aggression is unjust and goes against the true ideals of the Confederation." As the space battle devolved into confusion and internal strife, the Earth Zendari fleet pressed their advantage. Not with weapons, but with words. Sarah, her voice strained but clear, broadcasted across all frequencies. "People of the Confederation, we don't seek war or conquest. We ask only for understanding. The Zendari came to us in need, and we helped them. In doing so, we've discovered that our differences make us stronger. There's room in this galaxy for all of us, the strong and the weak, the conventional and the outcast." As she spoke, the harmonic resonator pulsed with renewed energy. Across the Confederation fleet, more and more crews found themselves swayed by the emotion and logic of her words. Admiral Zextor, watching his fleet crumble around him, made a desperate decision. All loyal ships, concentrate fire on the Terran flagship. End this now. A barrage of energy weapons lanced out towards the Unity. But at the last moment, something extraordinary happened. The crystalline hull of the ship, infused with Zendari technology and powered by the combined empathic energy of its crew, began to glow. The incoming fire was absorbed, redirected, and dissipated harmlessly into space. The battle hung in the balance for several tense minutes, but gradually the tide turned. More and more Confederation ships stood down or turned to join the Earth-Zendari alliance. Finally, Admiral Zextor's flagship stood alone. "This isn't over," Zextor snarled as his ship retreated into hyperspace. "The full might of the Confederation will return." As the remnants of the invasion fleet disappeared, a cheer went up across the Allied ships. Against all odds, they had won the day not through superior firepower, but through empathy, unity, and the strength found in diversity. In the aftermath of the battle, as the adrenaline wore off, Sarah found herself on the observation deck of the Unity, staring out at the stars. Kira joined her, the Zendari's crystalline form reflecting the starlight. "You did it, Sarah." Kira's mental voice was filled with awe and gratitude. "You've changed the course of galactic history." Sarah shook her head, smiling tiredly. "We did it, Kira. All of us together. But this is just the beginning." As if to underscore her words, reports were already coming in from across the galaxy. Inspired by Earth's stand, other outcast species were rising up, demanding recognition and rights. The Confederation was in turmoil, its long-held beliefs about strength and worthiness being challenged on all fronts. General Vance joined them, her usually stern face bearing a rare smile. "Well, you two, it seems we got our work cut out for us. Earth is going to be the talk of the galaxy for quite some time." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility in equal measure. "We'll need to establish diplomatic relations with the Confederation remnants, reach out to other outcast species, maybe even form a new galactic alliance based on mutual respect and cooperation." Kira's antennae twitched with excitement. "And we must prepare for the advancements our combined knowledge will bring. The galaxy is entering a new age of discovery and understanding. As they discussed the future, a transmission came through from Earth. It was a global celebration, with humans and Zendari alike cheering their victory. But mixed with the jubilation was a sense of purpose, a recognition that they stood on the threshold of a new era for their planet and the galaxy at large. Sarah looked out at the stars once more, marveling at how much had changed since that day in Central Park when a crystalline ship fell from the sky. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage, facing overwhelming odds. Yet they had prevailed not through brute force, but through compassion, adaptability, and the strength found in unity with those different from themselves. "You know," Sarah said, a hint of wonder in her voice, "when I was a kid, I always dreamed of exploring the stars. I never imagined the stars would come to us first." Vance chuckled. "Well, Chen, it looks like you'll get your chance to explore after all. Something tells me Earth is going to be very busy in the coming years." As the Unity began its return journey to Earth, Sarah felt a sense of profound optimism. They had faced the galaxy's Goliath and emerged victorious. Now, the real work began, building a future where all species, no matter how different, could find a place to belong. The stars beckoned, full of challenges and opportunities, and humanity, hand in hand with the Zendari and other allies yet to be found, was ready to answer the call.